remember reading in the Jewish Week an article written by Rabbi Rudin from Dallas, Texas, where he says that one day he was in his office and a man walked in who didn't look too experienced with Judaism, and he puts down a check for a hefty amount of money. The rabbi tries to scroll through his memory. Did I miss this guy in shul one day? Who is this person? And the guy says, Rabbi, you don't know me. Stop. I see what you're doing. You don't know me. But I just got back from a mission to Jerusalem, and when I was at the Wailing Wall, I saw this guy with a long black coat and a furry hat. And he looked like he was genuinely talking to God. And I said to myself, when I get home to Texas, I want to support institutions where people do that. So I went to the phone book. Okay, for those who don't know, back in our time, there used to be a book that listed everybody's phone numbers before we had cell phones. I went to the phone book, I looked in the yellow pages and under synagogue, Orthodox synagogue, and I came and I found you, and I want to help build up this synagogue and build up this community. Rudin was blown away. He was like, well, maybe I should have you come speak to many of the people that are members of the synagogue. Try to inspire them. This is the way to be. Anyway, Rabbi Rudin said, it's funny, because this chassid who was davening at the kotel that day, he has no idea that anybody was watching him. He was davening, who knows? Maybe he needed a parnasa, maybe somebody was sick, maybe children were getting married, maybe he was just thanking Hashem from the bottom of his heart. And unwittingly, without realizing it, he was inspiring somebody else to do a mitzvah. He's going to get to Shemayim. Hashem's going to give him a big chelek, a big portion of Olam Haba. The chassid will be like, wow, this is awesome, but what is this? And Hashem's going to say Dallas, Texas. The guy probably didn't even hear Dallas, Texas in his life. But he has a huge chelek. He intended to daven for whatever he was davening for. But he has a huge chelek in the building of our community. And that happens in our lives all the time. Sometimes we know it. Sometimes we know people are watching us. And many times we don't know people are watching us. But whether they learn something positive or chas v'shalom, something less positive from the actions, from the way that we behave, so then, of course, if we've inspired that, so then that goes in our file for actions that need to be repaid at the end of our life. This week the Torah starts, if you follow the laws, so then the world's going to have so much bracha and run properly. And if you don't follow the laws, so there's going to be a lot of bad. Nature's going to be distorted, and the world's going to be messed up. So Rav Dessler asks that we know in the Gemara in Kiddushin that schar mitzvah b'haya al maleka. There's no reward for mitzvos in this world. So what's going on over here? Here we see directly, outright, the Torah says, if you follow the laws of the Torah, the rain's going to come, the land's going to produce food, and everything's going to run great. And if you don't follow the laws, it's going to be bad. And in fact, we see this at Kriyas Shema twice a day, at least, that if we listen to the laws of the Torah, so then there'll be mitar artzachem and degancha, and everything's going to work out wonderful. And if we don't, so then chas v'shalom, choraf Hashem, and things are going to be bad. There's going to be punishment. So how does the Gemara say there's no reward in this world? That's contradicted by Parshas Bechukosai and by Kriyas Shema. So then Nesiva Shalom, amongst many others, answer that there's two different responses to the actions that we're doing. In a place called Olam Haba, we're going to get this thing called reward, and reward is so incredible, it's unimaginable. But besides the reward we're going to get for doing the right thing, or the punishment that we're going to get for doing the wrong thing, besides that, there's chukim. There are rules that run the world. The same way that if I would drop something, it would fall because there's a rule of gravity. So too there's a rule. You do this mitzvah, it brings a bracha to the world that allows the ground to produce, and it allows people to have money, and it allows people to have health, and it keeps the peace. But if chas v'shalom we do averos, so then that ruins the earth, it ruins the ground, it ruins the peace, and it ruins everything else. This is the power that we have as human beings. Not as a reward, but just as the knee-jerk reaction, the consequence for the action that we do. We do mitzvos, we bring bracha to the world. It's not a reward for us or the world. It is the way that Hashem created the world. It's inherently built into the world. That if we do mitzvos, we bring bracha. If we do averos, chas v'shalom, so then we bring damage and disease and illness and pandemic and war and all those things to the world. Such an incredible power that we have. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us realize that every action that we do has significance and has consequence in the world, even if we don't see it. And therefore inspire us to always make the right decisions so that we can end all wars, we can end all disease, we can live our lives happily, being able to connect to our Creator. Have a great Shabbos.